It's hard to believe that we're actually in week number 6. This week we're going to be reviewing and discussing chapters 10 and chapter 11. So good afternoon. I want to start out with chapter number 10. And chapter number 10 deals with managing the safety function. And we are going to explore ways that the safety functions occur in organization. As we all know and have discussed in the past, the mission of safety must be completely integrated into the management system. And safety competes with every entity in the organization for resources or funds to accomplish that mission. Safety, like many other management activities, consist of planning, organizing, controlling, staffing, directing, and communicating. We will be looking at each of those functions and how all these facets of management are incorporated into the safety function, and the fact that safety should be incorporated into all facets of management. Now, the first function that we're going to look at is planning. And obviously, planning includes forecasting of upcoming needs, including the resources that you might need. And as part of that forecasting, we're also going to reflect back on the past. And the past will help you decide what things you need to look at moving forward. So when it comes to safety, every single department should be involved with the safety planning. And from I think one of the weeks we talked about earlier, one of the things that you do as part of that is a job hazard analysis, which includes personnel from all levels of the organization. You're going to develop some checklists. You're going to interview some employees to see what they think might be of some concerns in terms of safeties in the workplace. Going to talk about near-miss investigations. What are some things that you can go back and look at and determine whether or not there's other things that you should implement to make certain that near misses don't happen. And also look at what-if scenario. And that will help you to identify some potential problems before an actual accident or incident occurs. And the next function is organizing. And this is done through the Human Resources Department. They help to understand the management of safety and help you with an understanding of the line and staff positions, which is so essential in making sure that your safety planning procedures are followed. Your line positions actually carry out the major functions of the organization, which in many cases include the managers and the supervisors, and the staff positions help support the line positions. They have a functional authority over safety, but no actual authority. The next function that we're going to look at is organizing. Now, the definition of the safety manager's job is to monitor safety, examine the current situations, and advise the line management as to corrective action that might be needed. Now, in many organizations, this is considered a full-time position, and this person actually monitors the safety and advises management on what changes are needed and why they are needed. They also serve in an advisory role capacity with a line supervisor, which helps avoid and minimize safety problems. It is the responsibility of safety is the role of the line management. Now, typically, the safety manager position in the ideal world would actually report to the CEO of the organization, but typically in most organizations, they report to the Human Resource Department. Now, the next function we're going to look at and explore is controlling, and that looks at what is happening in the organization by monitoring the safety and comparing the results of the observations to establish protocol or standards. And they also, in this capacity, you advise on any necessary change. Corrective action is key to safety. Now, part of that review is also an audit, which varies from a cursory inspection of hand tools or a complete review of the safety program, a tool that permits the assignment of a quantitative or numerical value to some aspect of the safety program. Inspections are also very important. Though they have no quantitative evaluations are done, they simply ask, did the inspection occur or not? Now, in the textbook, there are some really good examples of some audits that were done, and they looked at different sections of the audit for this particular example. So I would highly suggest that you begin on page 232 to 233 to review the safety program that was implemented by their safety manager in this example. A very good example to review and understand. The next function is directing, and this function belongs primarily to the line management. But the safety professional is given a budget to assist the line management to accomplish those objectives. And typically the budget in order to do that is about 2 to 3% of a company's sales volume. Now, from a staffing perspective, you want to make certain that your job descriptions are clear and in writing, and if they have strength and also endurance requirements, because you want to make sure that if they do, that you're reviewing the American with Disabilities Acts and the Civil Rights Act to ensure that your hiring procedures are compliant and then you're not in violation of any of these particular acts, which we have reviewed, I think, probably in week 2. Another function is communicating. You have to make certain that you communicate your safety protocols and standards. That actually is critical to the success of the organization. And these also should be in writing. This involves many different knowledge bases, example, accounting, economics, production, and quality theory. Credibility is largely dependent upon the use of appropriate and proper grammar when you're communicating these protocols to your employees. And you need a right personality type to deal with top management and frontline workers. You have to be able to speak in terms that not only management understands, but also your employees. When I worked at a construction company as a manager, one of the things that I learned very quickly, particularly since one of my responsibilities was to make certain that all the workers on the different job sites were following the proper safety protocols and also the ones imposed by OSHA, that I needed to make sure that I won the confidence of the line workers and also developed relationships with those so that they understood where I was coming from to make sure everybody was safe. Also, evaluation of the systems that you have in place are also important. You need top management to give safety plan an appropriate level of support. And I know we had talked about this previously. You need support from the CEO all the way down. And the safety manager must be perceived as an integral part of the management team. Serious mistakes of an organization is that they believe they can have 2 separate systems for evaluating production and safety. One of the things, for example, that you have to be careful of, for example, if you give a manager a bonus for increased production, but that same manager does not receive any perks for not having any safety incidents during production, that basically sends a mixed message that not only will manage, but also employees will misunderstand. You also need to make certain that you're following the OSHA guidelines. There was some very good examples of these OSHA guidelines that begin on page 240. In 1989, OSHA published voluntary safety and health guidelines. These were effective management of worker safety and health as an important factor in reducing work-related injury and also illnesses. They advise a systematic approach to protect employees from workplace hazards. 1, by making sure management and employees are involved. 2, by examining the workplace for existing hazards. And 3, once you identify what those hazards are, how could they be controlled, prevented, or eliminated? And 4, probably the most important of all of them, is you need training for all personnel. And I just want to give you a quick synopsis and some takeaways for chapter number 10. The big takeaways are 3 that I see. 1 is that top management must support safety as an important part of the organization. 2, the safety manager must be perceived as an integral part of the management team. And And that means, too, working with the HR folks, the line manager, the supervisors. And 3, the safety professional must exercise caution when advising management of programs to encourage safety, but might actually discourage reporting. So this is the conclusion of a brief overview of Chapter 10, and next we're going to discuss Chapter number 11.